Hey everyone, and welcome back to CineMike. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Being a new YouTuber myself, I just thought it would make sense, considering this is a film channel after all, to make a video about what are some of the films that have kind of defined me as a movie lover, as a collector, and what are the kind of films that I love going to, whether that be for comfort, whether that be for rewatchability, whether I really need a really good laugh or I want a really good action film, whatever it is. I just thought I would share a list of a selection of films that I have in my collection that are some of my favorites. Now, just to clarify, this isn't like a top 10 list of all time. Some of these are, don't get me wrong, and if there's a particular one that is sort of a top 10 worthy film, then I will mention it. But most of these, in no particular order, they're just some of my favorites and just some of the films I want to share with you to show you guys who I am as a film fan, and most importantly, gives you an insight into my kind of taste in film too. So, starting off big and starting very strong, these films are in my top 10 of all time. I consider them perfect. Yeah, they have just defined who I am as a person, and that is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. As you can see here, I own all three in a very beautiful 4K box set. You have the trilogy there. Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King. Now, I don't know the name of these particular box sets, but I do have a few in my collection and they're stunning. I will show you guys exactly what the steelbooks do look like one by one. So we have the Fellowship of the Ring. Of course, you have the leaf on the back there, which they wear on their cloaks as part of the Fellowship. We also have the Two Towers, which you have the Ents on the front when they're in Isengard. There we go, there's that on the back as well. And then for Return of the King, we have Gollum on the front of Mount Doom. And of course we have the crown on the back for the King of Gondor, who we all know and love to be Aragorn himself. Like I said, guys, these are a definitive set of films that not only define me as a movie lover, the kinds of films I love, but just truly what I believe encapsulate what cinema is all about. I've loved these movies ever since I was a kid. I was very, very young. I don't have a particular memory of when I was like, oh, I'm watching Lord of the Rings for the first time, but I remember being very small and I was just so invested in the world. Considering I would have only been probably about 4 or 5 years old when I watched Fellowship of the Ring for the first time, it just absorbed me into that universe. I wanted to be a hobbit, you know, I wanted to be in that universe. And even the food that the hobbits eat, you want to eat it when you see it on screen. You want to be on the adventures with them. You want to be part of the action. When certain characters die or when certain characters are in situations that are tense, you really feel it. You really feel like these are almost people you know. Not only that, I mean, it's just incredible storytelling. I personally have only ever read the first book. Considering I am a huge Lord of the Rings fan, I really should have read the whole book series, but unfortunately I haven't. I have only read The Hobbit and The Fellowship of the Ring. So I really do need to go back and actually read the books because I understand the books are obviously different to the films. However, I think everyone can somewhat agree that The Lord of the Rings is probably the best movies that have come from an original kind of source. Yeah, that is Lord of the Rings on 4K. I could talk about these movies forever. Anything you could possibly say about these movies, good or even bad, which I don't think there is anything bad you could say about them, has already been said. There's nothing new under the sun. These films are absolutely incredible, in my opinion, perfection. And yeah, really gave me that love for adventure movies, fantasy, dark fantasy. All started with Lord of the Rings. Moving on from the Lord of the Rings, still in that fantasy element, but way more campy, silly, and ridiculous. And that is Army of Darkness from Sam Raimi. How truly gorgeous this steelbook is. This is a US imported one. Sadly, we didn't get this in the UK, but I'm very fortunate in being able to own a copy. I was able to pick up on eBay. It is 4K. is a 3-disc edition there. Of course, you've got the inside artwork as well. This particular edition as well, it does come with all the alternative endings as well for the movie. And yeah, why did I pick Army of Darkness? Army of Darkness was a movie which I watched when I was about 15. I was in like my mid-teens, and my friend Connor, a very good friend, he absolutely loved the Evil Dead movies, and I was already into collecting my Blu-rays and whatnot at that point, and I'd never actually watched an Evil Dead movie. So I ended up, of course, buying the trilogy. I watched the first one, fell in love with it. That's more of a somewhat serious horror film. And then I watched the very famous Evil Dead 2, which, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore the other Evil Dead films. This is, however, my favourite. That might be controversial because I know Evil Dead 2 is, I think, the typical fan favourite. However, Army of Darkness does just take the edge for me slightly. And I think it is because it does have the fantasy medieval element to it. Which, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the cabin setting in Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, with all, obviously, the comedic elements that come with that. I just think Army of Darkness just particularly is just down to a T exactly what I'm about. And not only did this film define me in terms of what I love, it kind of was like the first film I had truly fallen in love with that was of the B-movie category, which is now defined, as you can see, pretty much the rest of my collection. I remember after watching this movie for the first time, I would go on Google and I'd go on different like fan forums and stuff, looking up like, what's a film that's similar to Army of Darkness? What's a film that's similar to the Evil Dead movies? And that's what led me onto the discovery of some of the movies that are in the Arrow Video collection, which made me buy those. And because I bought those, that made me fall in love with Arrow Video. And then that has, like I said, defined a lot of my collection, all because of this one movie. Moving on from Army of Darkness, we have up next Drive. This is the 2011 film starring Ryan Gosling. Here we go. This is my gorgeous second sight edition, which is also 4K. Let's remove the J card so you can just see it a little bit better. When you do remove it, you've got a hard box on the outside. Love these hard quality sets from Second Sight. Gorgeous, gorgeous. A massive book in there. Cards as well. I'm not going to pull everything out. There's plenty of unboxings on YouTube, guys, if you want to check out. But you get art cards in there. You get the actual set itself with like artwork and original posters and information about the film. And of course, you get the discs inside as well. So why Drive? Drive came out about a couple years ago before the first time I had watched it. Again, at the time, I was a young teen. Ryan Gosling was particularly rising up in terms of fame. Of course, we all know him from being a child actor. He was in some Disney show as a kid, and then he was young Hercules. But he didn't truly break out as an actor until he did roles such as Crazy Stupid Love and Drive. It was this kind of era around the 2010s that Ryan Gosling particularly became the big celebrity we know him to be today. And he won the hearts of many people, myself being one. I've always looked up to him as being one of my favorite actors because I think his roles are just so diverse. He's played really dark characters such as the driver himself in this movie. Movies like Blade Runner 2049, all the way to doing comedy in things like The Big Short, The Nice Guys. I could sit here all day and go through a million movies, what's defined me. That's why this film, in my opinion, is the best representation of Ryan Gosling's acting ability, his ability to do action, feel emotion, be in a tense role, be in a role within a film that isn't exactly got the highest budget either. He absolutely kills it in this movie, and Drive has become probably a joint favourite in my top 5 of all time. I have loved this movie for well over a decade. I have seen it countless times. I find it one of those movies that gives me inspiration, not for any reason I can particularly explain, it just does. I find it really touching as well when you read up about the behind the scenes and you see interviews with the director and Ryan Gosling himself. And they talk about the hardships they had while making this movie, and sadly, I feel like it didn't get the recognition it deserved at the time. But much later over the years, especially in the 2020s with, again, the continuously rising fame of Ryan Gosling, and his love online, it has made characters like the driver become very popular within the film community. And yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I'm so happy I have this set. I have multiple editions of Drive 2, which I'm happy to show you guys quickly. We have, I believe it was a Best Buy or Target exclusive of Drive, which is the Steelbook, just with the standard Blu-ray. Also own this beautiful Mondo edition of Drive as well. Neon vibe, the pink, of course you've got the Scorpion from the very famous jacket on the back as well. And you get this clear slipcase as well. And it is number 0 in the Mondo collection. So if you guys collect Mondo Steelbooks at all, oh sorry, it says on the front here, Future Shop exclusive. But yeah, if you guys collect the Mondo collection, this is actually number 0, 000. Don't know if you can see that. Of course, I've got the second sight box I just showed you, but to finish off, I do own one more Steelbook of Drive. This is the UK Steelbook. It's the original poster, except he's wearing glasses. And then on the inside, quite plain, it's just metallic silver with the standard Blu-ray inside as well. Coming up next, another movie which has, again, similar to Drive, has defined me in terms of my love for kind of darker cinema, but however, this has more of a comedic twist to it, and it's very quotable, very funny, and that is American Psycho. American Psycho is one of those movies I happily enjoy on my own, but I can happily sit down with friends and also watch with as well. I don't know about you guys, but very often when I'm scrolling on my Instagram, I get many reels, a lot of the time memes and things associated with this movie. I feel like it has risen to the level of popularity that it deserves. Christian Bale absolutely kills it as Patrick Bateman as well. He genuinely is a psychopath, hence the name American Psycho. The ending, of course, is, I don't want to spoil it, so kind of a spoiler alert for you guys if you haven't seen this movie, which I highly recommend you do. The ending is a little bit subjective. What I mean by that is, was it all in his head? Is that why he's a psycho? Or was he actually trying to adopt the identity of Paul Allen and pretend and live as if he's Paul Allen and do these murders? So yeah, very funny movie, dark, gory, but it's a great watch. And if you haven't seen it, please check this out. I love movies like this. If you haven't already, check it out. Make sure you do. American Psycho, fantastic movie. Another one that I own multiple copies of too. You guys subscribe to this channel for a reason, right? I'm a collector for a reason. Don't worry, I don't own multiple copies of every single film I own. It's just some of my favorites, like I've clarified. I do like to own the best versions of, so I do have a few steelbooks for American Psycho too. The first one being this steelbook, which, to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the front design, but it's got this beautiful design on the back where he's dragging the body along. That's the inside. This is just a standard Blu-ray. Fun fact as well, guys, this was actually one of the first steelbooks I ever owned. The second steelbook edition I own for this film is this cardboard box edition, 4K, the first time I actually owned it on 4K. This was a Zavvi exclusive back in the day for those of you in the UK. This is the first 4K edition that they brought out. It's scratched down for different personalities there. You've got the classic poster there on the back with the reflection in the blade. And this one is a 2-disc edition where you do get the standard Blu-ray as well as the 4K and a business card for Mr. Patrick Bateman himself, or Paul Allen. And then finally, because I know I can waffle on, guys, we have then the last steelbook I have for American Psycho, which is this beautiful, beautiful slipped edition, which when you pull down slowly is the mask that Patrick Bateman thinks we care about in his morning routine with the narration. Very famous. I love this steelbook. It's definitely my favorite out of the 3 I own. And yeah, this is the background too. The American flag there on the axe blade as well. And then this edition, which I really like, you have the Blu-ray and the 4K, but they've made the discs look like the business card itself. Coming up next is another movie that I watched in my early teens. I believe I was about 12 or 13 when this movie came out. It is potentially, now not definitive, like I said, this isn't a definitive favourites list by any means. This is potentially my favourite movie of all time. And that is Mr. Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained. Again, guys, I could stand here all day and talk for 10 hours straight about how much I love this movie. And not just this movie, just Mr. Tarantino in general. Quentin Tarantino is my favourite director, at least working today. He has about 4 or 5 films that I could happily put in my top 10, or at least I believe worthy to be in someone's top 10. Of course, you've got Django Unchained for myself, Pulp Fiction, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Inglourious Basterds, all exceptional movies that, in my opinion, are perfect 10s, which is why I believe Django Unchained to be one of the best films I have ever seen. The reason I would say Django, out of all of his films, is my particular favourite is this movie particularly got me into my westerns. I love westerns in general, old and new, but this movie is just insane. I love the twist on history, how it takes the idea of a slave not only getting his freedom, but then getting revenge on the people that unfortunately put him in that position. I believe it's Tarantino's work at its best. I think the musical score is fantastic. I think the cinematography is the best Tarantino has done. The editing, the action, the gore, that famous Tarantino blood that we all love to see on screen captured in this, and the performances as well. Oh my goodness. Christoph Waltz won an Oscar for this, the same way he did for Inglourious Basterds. It's an exceptional performance. I think it's Jamie Foxx's best movie. I think Leo is great. I believe he was nominated for an Oscar that year. Unfortunately, didn't win it. Although I think this is one of his best performances too, considering he is also a somewhat side character. But yeah, this is Django Unchained. Like I said, I could talk about it all day, but this is another film that has defined me. It's made me love westerns, introduced me properly to Mr. Tarantino, who has now become my favorite director. This too was also one of the first steelbooks I had ever bought, which only then encouraged my addiction into buying Blu-rays and 4Ks and whatnot. And yeah, it just really impacted me. It's emotional, it's funny, it's action-packed. It's got almost every genre of film possible in one. I think the storytelling is excellent. I think the characters are just brilliant. It's Tarantino's writing through and through in this movie, like all of his movies. That's why it's so hard to have a definitive favorite Tarantino movie. And that's why I think also he's just one of the best directors working today and of our generation. But yeah, Django Unchained. So guys, I didn't want to make this video too much longer than what it had to be. Those are literally just a very small handful of just some of my favorites that have defined me as a film lover, as a fan, why I collect, maybe why I love that particular genre. But yeah, let me know down below your thoughts. What are some of your favorite movies too? Do you own multiple copies of some of your favorites as well? What is that one particular movie that got you into movies or got you into that genre of movies? I'd love to know. So if you can let me know down below, that'd be great. And of course, as always, guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe down there as well, turn on the bell notification so you never miss a video from myself, and I'll catch you in the next one.